Imagine this. You walk into a Lamborghini dealership, point at a $250,000 Huracan, and tell the salesman you want to rip out its screaming V10 and replace it with the engine from your mom's grocery-getting Camry. The look on his face would be priceless. But what if we actually did it? What happens when you take the most boring, reliable, practical engine on earth and shove it into one of the most popular supercars ever built? Can a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that's designed to sip gas and run forever actually power a car that's built to absolutely mog every supercar? Today we're answering the question nobody asked but everybody secretly wondered about. We're taking the heart of suburban practicality and engine swapping it into the body of an Italian supercar. This isn't about horsepower or speed. This is about what happens when two completely different automotive philosophies collide in the most ridiculous way possible. So, what exactly are we dealing with here? On one side, we have the Toyota 2ARFE, a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that powers millions of Camrys around the world. This thing makes a modest 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. It's designed to run for 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat, get 30 miles per gallon, and never give you a single moment of drama, even when you don't supply it the maintenance it needs. It's the automotive equivalent of a reliable best friend who always shows up on time and never complains. On the other side, we have something completely different. The Lamborghini Huracan normally houses a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 that screams to life with 630 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. This engine is a work of art, a masterpiece of engineering that sounds like the Lamborghini is singing music to your ears, while simultaneously annoying non-car enthusiasts walking down the road. It's designed for one thing, pure and absolute performance. But here's where it gets interesting. The physical dimensions alone tell a story of impossibility. The Camry's 2.5-liter engine measures roughly 24 inches long, 24 inches wide, and 27 inches tall. Meanwhile, the Lamborghini's V10 is a completely different beast, not just in power, but in how it's packaged and positioned. The Camry engine sits transversely in the front of the car, powering the front wheels through a simple transmission setup. The Lamborghini's engine sits longitudinally behind the driver, sending power to all four wheels through a sophisticated all-wheel drive system. So, the first challenge isn't just swapping engines. It's completely reimagining how the car works. You can't just unbolt one engine and bolt in another. The entire drivetrain, the mounting points, the cooling system, the electrical system, the fuel system, the exhaust system, everything has to be redesigned from scratch. We're not talking about a simple engine swap. We're talking about automotive surgery that would make Dr. Frankenstein proud. Let's start with the physical reality. The Camry engine was never designed to sit in the middle of a car. It needs to be completely reoriented, which means custom engine mounts, custom transmission adapters, and probably a custom transmission entirely. The Lamborghini sophisticated all-wheel drive system expects a certain amount of torque and power characteristics that the Camry engine simply won't provide. We're looking at torque figures that are less than half of what the Lambo was designed to handle. Then there's the cooling situation. The Lamborghini's cooling system is engineered around a high-performance V10 that generates massive amounts of heat. The Camry engine produces far less heat, but it's also designed to be cooled from the front of the car, not from the sides like a mid-engine layout requires. Custom radiators, custom ducting, custom everything. The electronics present another nightmare entirely. Modern Lamborghinis are controlled by incredibly sophisticated computer systems that expect to communicate with an equally sophisticated engine management system. The Camry's engine management is designed for efficiency and reliability, not for the kind of real-time performance monitoring that a supercar demands. Getting these two systems to talk to each other would require custom programming that could cost more than most people's entire cars. But let's say we somehow overcome all of these challenges. Let's say we manage to force this grocery-getting power plant into this Italian masterpiece. What would it actually be like to drive? The numbers alone paint a bizarre picture. The weight distribution would be completely wrong. A Lamborghini is engineered with precise balance in mind. The V10 engine weighs around 400 pounds and sits exactly where it needs to be for optimal handling. The Camry's 4-cylinder weighs about 300 pounds, which sounds good until you realize that 100 pounds of missing weight in exactly the wrong place turns a precision instrument into a confused mess. The car would handle like a shopping cart with a broken wheel. Performance-wise, we're looking at something that defies logic. A stock Huracan rockets from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. With our Camry heart transplant, we're looking at maybe 8 or 9 seconds if we're lucky. That's slower than a Honda Civic. The top speed drops from over 200 miles per hour to maybe 120, and that's assuming the new electronic system doesn't tear the car apart first. We've essentially created the world's most expensive Italian Toyota Camry. But here's where it gets really weird. The Lamborghini's transmission is a 7-speed dual-clutch unit designed to handle massive torque loads and lightning-fast shifts. With the Camry engine, this transmission would be like using a sledgehammer to crack an egg. The shifts would be rough, the computer would be constantly confused like an old man trying to understand new trends like 6, 7, and the whole system would be fighting against itself. The exhaust would be the most tragic part of all. Instead of the earth-shattering roar of a naturally aspirated V10, you'd get the polite hum of a 4-cylinder that sounds like it's apologizing for existing. Imagine pulling up to a red light next to another supercar, revving your engine, and producing the sound of a lawnmower having an existential crisis. Then there's the fuel economy paradox. You might think putting an efficient engine in a supercar would create some kind of eco-friendly speed machine. Wrong. The Lamborghini's aerodynamics are designed for high-speed stability, not efficiency. All those wings, vents, and aggressive bodywork create massive amounts of drag. At highway speeds, you'd probably get worse gas mileage than the original V10, while going significantly slower. It's the worst of both worlds wrapped in a $250,000 package. The real kicker is what happens when something goes wrong. Lamborghini technicians are trained to work on sophisticated Italian engineering, not Toyota's bulletproof simplicity. When your Lamborghini Camry contraption breaks down, good luck finding someone who can diagnose why a grocery store engine is throwing error codes in a supercar's computer system. You need a mechanic who speaks both Toyota reliability and Lamborghini insanity fluently. But wait, there's more chaos ahead. The braking system presents its own nightmare scenario. Lamborghini brakes are massive carbon ceramic discs designed to stop a 630 horsepower missile from ridiculous speeds repeatedly without fading. With our underpowered setup, these brakes would be hilariously overkill, like bringing a cannon to a pillow fight. The brake balance would be completely wrong, the computer systems would be confused, and you probably lock up the wheels every time you touch the pedal, which means constant spin-outs throughout your ride. The interior tells its own story of confusion. The dashboard displays are designed to show engine parameters that simply don't exist on a Camry engine. Oil temperature, cylinder-specific data, performance metrics, all of it would either show error messages or completely wrong information. The steering wheel paddle shifters would be connected to a transmission that's trying to manage torque curves that don't match what it expects. And then there's the sound system. Lamborghini's pipe engine noise into the cabin through carefully tuned speakers to enhance the driving experience. With our 4-cylinder swap, the sound enhancement system would be desperately trying to make a Camry engine sound intimidating. It would be like auto-tune for engines and just as artificial. The suspension setup creates another layer of absurdity. Lamborghini's adaptive suspension is calibrated for a specific power-to-weight ratio and handling characteristic. With 400 fewer horsepower and a different weight distribution, the suspension would be constantly looking for the right settings. The car would either ride like a concrete mixer or handle like a marshmallow with no middle ground. But here's the twisted part. This Frankenstein creation might actually be more reliable than a stock Lamborghini. Toyota engines are legendary for their durability, so while your performance would be embarrassing, your maintenance cost would plummet. You'd have created the world's most reliable supercar that can't exactly be super. So there you have it. Could you put a Camry engine in a Lamborghini? Technically, yes. But should you? I mean, if you would like the most reliable Lamborghini, then sure. But what you'd end up with isn't a fuel-efficient supercar or the perfect daily supercar. You'd have a $250,000 conversation starter that's slower than a minivan, sounds like a vacuum cleaner, and handles like a drunk elephant. It's the automotive equivalent of putting a goldfish in a shark tank and expecting it to survive in the tank. The real answer is that some ideas exist purely to show us how precise automotive engineering really is. The Camry's 4-cylinder engine is perfect for what it does, moving people efficiently and reliably for hundreds of thousands of miles. While the Lamborghini's V10 is perfect for what it does, turning gasoline into pure automotive ecstasy, when you try to force one to do the other's job, you don't get the best of both worlds. You get the worst of both, wrapped in an expensive package that nobody asked for. But hey, maybe that's exactly what makes this idea so beautifully absurd. In a world where everything makes sense, sometimes we need something that makes absolutely no sense at all. And what's more senseless than ruining a perfectly good Lamborghini with a perfectly good Camry engine? At least you never have to worry about it breaking down. You just have to worry about explaining to everyone why your supercar sounds like their lawnmower. Actually, speaking of fast cars, what would happen if you dropped a modern Formula 1 car into the Autobahn where there are no speed limits? Watch the video on your screen to find out how wild things can really get on public roads. Remember to subscribe and drift into that like button. Thanks for watching.